The scan alert chimed softly on the bridge of the asterisk distant light asterisk. Captain Tahoe looked up from his reports, dark eyebrows pulling together as he studied the unexpected readings. His vessel, a mid-sized Coalition archaeological survey ship, drifted at the edge of an unremarkable asteroid field in what should have been empty space. "Something isn't right," he muttered, leaning forward in his command chair. The asteroid field ahead appeared ordinary to the naked eye, just scattered chunks of rock slowly turning in the void. Yet Tahoe's sensor screen told a different story. Energy signatures pulsed from within the field, faint but unmistakable. "Commander Juwu," he called, turning to his science officer who sat at her station. "Are you seeing this?" Juwu, a woman with sharp eyes and quick hands, was already studying her console with intense focus. "Yes, Captain. These energy patterns shouldn't exist in a natural formation." Her fingers moved rapidly across her screen as she adjusted the scan parameters. "And there's something else strange. The pattern is changing. It's responding to our scans." Tahoe stood and moved to her station, looking over her shoulder. "Responding how?" "Like it's waking up," she said quietly. Navigator Do-hyun turned from his station. "Captain, should we retreat to a safer distance?" "No," Tahoe decided after a moment's thought. "But alert the crew. All stations on standby." The bridge fell quiet except for the soft hum of equipment. Then Juwu gasped. "Captain, look." The main view screen showed the asteroid field beginning to move. Not the natural drift of space rocks, but a deliberate parting, as if the asteroids themselves were being pushed aside by an invisible hand. Small rocks moved first, then larger ones shifted position, revealing what they had hidden for thousands of years. The bridge crew stood frozen as the screen filled with the impossible. In the center of the parting asteroid field floated an enormous vessel of clearly artificial design. Its dark hull stretched over 15 kilometers from end to end, dwarfing their own ship many times over. The design was unmistakably human in origin, with clean lines and functional angles that matched known human aesthetic principles, but at a scale and level of sophistication that no human ship had ever achieved. That's impossible," whispered Security Officer Minho, breaking the stunned silence. Navigator Do-hyun's voice trembled slightly. "Coalition records state humans never developed technology of this scale. They're a minor species who joined the Coalition only 2 centuries ago." Captain Tahoe's face hardened as he stared at the massive vessel. "Coalition records," he replied grimly, "appear to be wrong." "It's not just the size," Juwu reported, her eyes never leaving her instruments. "The materials, the configuration. It's beyond anything in our database. And Captain," she looked up, her expression a mixture of wonder and fear, "it's old. Preliminary dating suggests at least 5,000 years. That can't be right," Minho argued. "Humans weren't even in space 5,000 years ago. They were still using primitive combustion engines when the Coalition found them." "Run the scans again," Tahoe ordered. Juwu nodded and initiated a deeper scan. As the asterisk distant lights asterisk sensor beams swept across the ancient vessel, something unexpected happened. Lights flickered along the massive hull, dim at first, then growing stronger. "Captain," Do-hyun called urgently. "I'm detecting power signatures activating throughout the ship. It's powering up." More lights appeared across the enormous vessel's surface. Huge sections of the hull that had appeared solid began to shift, revealing what looked like weapons ports and launch bays. Near what must be the vessel's stern, enormous engine housings began to glow with a strange blue light. "It's responding to our scans," Juwu reported, her voice rising with alarm. "Our signals must have triggered some kind of automated system." "Raise shields," Tahoe ordered, "and hail that vessel on all frequencies." The communications officer, Bomi, worked her console frantically. "No response, Captain. But I'm detecting complex data streams now emanating from the ship. It's broadcasting something." "Can you decode it?" "Working on it, sir," It appears to be using extremely old human encoding methods. Another alert sounded. Juhu's eyes widened as she read the new data. Captain, those engines are unlike anything in our records. They're generating power levels that should be impossible. And the dating analysis is complete. The ship is definitely 5,000 years old, from before humanity's official first contact with any alien civilization. Tahoe stared at the ancient human supercarrier as it continued to awaken. Sections that had appeared dormant now glowed with inner light. The blue glow from its engines intensified, casting an eerie light across the asteroid field. "Send a priority message to Coalition Command," Tahoe ordered. "Include all our scan data, and prepare a shuttle. I want a closer look." "Captain," Minho protested, "we don't know if it's safe." "We need answers," Tahoe replied firmly. "If that ship is truly of human origin and 5,000 years old, then everything we thought we knew about galactic history is wrong." As the crew prepared for what might be the most significant first contact in Coalition history, the ancient supercarrier continued its awakening. More systems activated across its vast hull, and the engines pulsed with growing power. Whatever this vessel was, whoever had built it and hidden it among the asteroids, one thing was becoming increasingly clear. They were witnessing the return of something that had been deliberately concealed. The questions that troubled Tahoe most as he prepared to approach the mysterious vessel weren't just about what it was, but why it had been hidden. And more urgently, why was it waking up now? Supreme Counselor Yuna's footsteps echoed across the polished floor of the Galactic Coalition's emergency conference chamber. Her normally calm face showed clear worry as she paced back and forth. The large circular room, designed to host representatives from hundreds of species, now held only 24 of the Coalition's highest officials. "Play the message again," she ordered. The holographic display in the center of the room flickered to life, showing Captain Tahoe's face. Behind him, impossible images of an enormous human vessel filled the screen. "We've confirmed the ship is of human design," Tahoe's recorded message stated. "It's over 15 kilometers long and contains technology far beyond current Coalition capabilities. Dating confirms it's at least 5,000 years old. The vessel is now fully powered and has activated an artificial intelligence system." The recording ended, leaving the chamber in tense silence. "This makes no sense," said historian Hook, an older man with deep wrinkles around his eyes. He stood and addressed the council. "This fundamentally changes our understanding of galactic history. If humans once commanded technology of this magnitude, where is the evidence of their empire? How could such knowledge be lost?" Science Director Juno nodded in agreement. "Humans are a minor species. They joined the Coalition just 2 centuries ago after we discovered their homeworld. Their technology was primitive compared to ours." "Yet there it is," Counselor Yuma said, pointing to the frozen image of the massive warship. "We need answers." The human ambassador, Sunwoo, sat quietly at his assigned place. All eyes turned to him. Tall and dignified in his formal Coalition uniform, he appeared as shocked as the aliens surrounding him. "Ambassador Sunwoo," Yuna said gently, "does your government have any knowledge of this vessel?" Sunwoo shook his head slowly. "None, Counselor. Our own historical records contain no mention of this. We always believed our first interstellar voyage was just 3 centuries ago, and even that was only possible with Coalition assistance." "Could your records be incomplete?" asked Security Director Yuna, her voice sharp with suspicion. "Our history is well documented," Sunwoo replied. "We evolved on Earth, developed a technological civilization, and were discovered by Coalition explorers when we had just begun simple space travel within our own solar system." A communications officer entered the chamber and hurried to Juno's side, whispering something urgent. The science director's eyes widened. "We have new information," Junho announced to the council. "Captain Tahoe's team has made contact with the vessel's artificial intelligence system. It calls itself Sentinel and appears to control all ship functions." He paused, looking directly at Ambassador Sunwoo. The vessel's AI is responding only to human genetic signatures. It's requesting direct communication with human representatives. Murmurs filled the chamber. Several council members exchanged worried glances. "This is troubling," said Defense Coordinator Minsu. "If this vessel contains weapons matching its size, it could pose a significant threat to coalition security." "The ship has made no aggressive moves," Yuna pointed out. "We should learn more before jumping to conclusions." All eyes turned again to Ambassador Sunwoo. He straightened his shoulders and nodded. "I volunteer to board the vessel. If it responds to humans, perhaps I can learn its purpose." 2 hours later, a small coalition shuttle approached the massive ancient vessel. Inside, Ambassador Sunwoo and his aide Minna watched through the viewports as the enormous ship grew larger. "Are you afraid?" Minna asked quietly. Sunwoo considered the question, curious more than afraid. If this ship truly belonged to our ancestors, why don't we know about it? The shuttle entered a massive docking bay that had opened to receive them. Inside, the bay was large enough to hold dozens of ships their size. Artificial gravity engaged smoothly as they landed. "The air is breathable," reported the shuttle pilot, checking his instruments. "Temperature and pressure match coalition standards." Sunwoo and Minna stepped carefully onto the deck of the ancient vessel. The interior was surprisingly bright, with lights activating ahead of them as they walked. Despite its age, everything looked perfectly preserved. "Hello," Sunwoo called out, his voice echoing in the vast space. A blue light appeared before them, quickly forming into a humanoid shape. The hologram took the form of a human male in a uniform unlike any Sunwoo had ever seen. "Welcome, descendants," it stated in perfect modern human language. "I am Sentinel, guardian of the vessel *Reckoning*. You stand aboard the final legacy of the first human stellar commonwealth." Minna gasped. "That's impossible," she whispered. "Our history begins on Earth. There was no commonwealth." "Your history," Sentinel corrected. Its voice, calm but firm, was deliberately obscured, for the safety of all. Sunwoo stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Sunwoo of Earth, representing humanity in the Galactic Coalition. Please explain what you mean." The hologram gestured, and the walls around them transformed into a star map. Thousands of stars lit up, with hundreds marked in blue. 5,000 years ago, humans controlled the largest empire the galaxy had ever known. Sentinel explained. The Commonwealth spanned over 300 worlds across 7 spiral arms. Your ancestors achieved faster-than-light travel 8,000 years ago and expanded rapidly. "But that's not possible," Minna argued. "Our archaeological records show a continuous human presence on Earth with a clear technological progression. There's no evidence we ever left our planet before the Coalition found us." "Because all evidence was carefully erased," Sentinel replied. "The Commonwealth faced a threat that required the most extreme measure possible: voluntary regression. Your ancestors chose to return to Earth, erase all knowledge of their achievements, and begin again as a primitive species." Sunwoo stared at the star map, struggling to accept what he was hearing. Why? Why would an advanced civilization choose to forget everything? "For survival, not just their own, but all life in the galaxy," Sentinel answered. "The *Reckoning* was hidden as a final safeguard, to be awakened only in the direst need." "And what need has awakened you now?" Sunwoo asked quietly. The hologram's expression grew grave. "The enemy that forced the Commonwealth's sacrifice has returned. I awakened because the first signs have been detected. Ambassador Sunwoo, your people once saved this galaxy by sacrificing their civilization. Now you may need to save it again, but this time by remembering who you truly are." The massive chamber at the heart of the ancient supercarrier *Reckoning* hummed with energy as Sentinel's holographic display expanded around Ambassador Sunwoo and Minna. What had begun as a simple star map transformed into a sweeping historical record that surrounded them on all sides. Images of gleaming cities on distant worlds, vast space stations orbiting strange suns, and fleets of starships that dwarfed anything in the current coalition navy appeared all around them. "This can't be real," Minna whispered, reaching out to touch a floating image of a massive orbital ring that encircled an entire planet. Her hand passed through the hologram, disturbing the light briefly before it reformed. Sunwoo stood silent, his eyes moving from image to image. Human faces looked back at him from the past. People dressed in unfamiliar uniforms, standing proudly before ships and buildings of impossible scale and beauty. The first human stellar commonwealth at its height controlled 342 worlds, Sentinel explained, its voice echoing in the chamber. Humanity was the first species in this spiral arm to develop faster than light travel. For 2,000 years, they expanded without encountering other intelligent life forms. But that contradicts everything we know, Minna argued. Earth's history is continuous. There's no gap where we suddenly forgot about space travel. The forgetting was deliberate and complete, Sentinel replied. The surrounding images shifted, showing scenes of what appeared to be a massive evacuation. Billions of humans boarding ships, heading toward a single world, Earth. Your ancestors faced an enemy that consumed civilizations whole, Sentinel continued. An entity that exists partially in another dimension, attracted to the energy signatures of advanced technological civilizations. The more advanced the technology, the stronger the attraction. The holographic display darkened, showing strange, shifting forms that seemed to bend and distort space itself around them. The images were difficult to focus on, as if the human eye wasn't meant to perceive such things. "What are they?" Sunwoo asked, feeling a deep unease as he watched the shadowy entities consume entire star systems in the display. "We have no name for them in your language," Sentinel said. "The Commonwealth simply called them the Hunger. They do not communicate. They do not negotiate. They simply consume." The images shifted again, showing Commonwealth scientists and leaders in what appeared to be emergency meetings. The Commonwealth sacrificed its technology, its achievements, even memory of its existence to protect the galaxy, Sentinel explained. They regressed their own civilization to pre-industrial levels. "Why?" Minna asked, her voice barely audible. "Why not fight?" "Because the enemy feeds on technological advancement. It was drawn to the Commonwealth's rapid expansion. By returning to simplicity, humanity denied the enemy its path into this galaxy." The display showed the final stages of the plan. Millions of ships being hidden in remote locations, their AI systems set to dormant mode. Images of humans voluntarily undergoing procedures that appeared to alter their memories. The entire species chose to forget, Sunwoo said in wonder. But why keep any ships at all? Why not destroy everything? "Because some remembered the duty to protect," Sentinel answered. A small group of volunteers underwent a different procedure. Their memories were not erased but encoded into dormant genetic sequences, to be awakened only if needed. "You carry those sequences, Ambassador Sunwoo." Sunwoo's hand went to his chest. "Me? But I'm just a diplomat. I have no special knowledge." The encoding was designed to activate in stages. Even now, your mind is beginning to access information you never learned. Sunwoo realized with a start that he could read the symbols on the Commonwealth uniforms, a language he had never seen before today. Back on the Coalition headquarters station, alarms sounded throughout the command center. Security Director Ji-hoon rushed from console to console as reports flooded in. "Status report," he demanded. "Sir, our long-range sensors are detecting activations across 13 sectors," a junior officer reported. "Energy signatures matching the asterisk reckoning asterisk are appearing at various points throughout Coalition space." "Show me," Ji-hoon ordered. The main display activated, showing a map of Coalition territory. Red dots appeared at seemingly random locations: a gas giant's moon in the Viridian sector, a supposedly empty region of space near the tourist gate, an abandoned mining colony in the outer rim. "More dormant human installations are waking up," the sensor officer confirmed, all activating simultaneously. "Are they ships?" Jihoon asked, his voice tight with concern. Some appeared to be vessels similar to the asterisk reckoning asterisk. Others seemed to be space stations or planetary installations. All were hidden or disguised until now. Jihoon's communicator chimed. "This is Security Director Jihoon," he answered. "Director, this is Supreme Counselor Yuna. Return to the council chamber immediately. The situation has escalated." 10 minutes later, Jihoon stood before the hastily assembled coalition leadership. The mood in the chamber was tense. The activation of these human installations changes the balance of power throughout coalition space, Defense Coordinator Minsu argued. If these are all weapons platforms or warships, humanity could potentially overwhelm coalition forces. "We have no evidence of hostile intent," Counselor Yuma countered. "Ambassador Sunwoo is still aboard the asterisk reckoning asterisk gathering information. And what if he decides his loyalty lies with this rediscovered human empire rather than the coalition?" asked Minsu. Before anyone could respond, the chamber's communication system activated. Ambassador Sunwoo's face appeared on the main display. Behind him, they could see the asterisk reckoning's asterisk command center. "Coalition Council, I'm transmitting important information," Sunwoo said. "Sentinel has granted me access to the Commonwealth's historical archives." On the asterisk reckoning asterisk, Sunwoo stood before an ancient star chart that showed the current positions of all awakening Commonwealth installations. Mina worked nearby, coordinating with Sentinel to translate ancient data. "If what Sentinel says is true, we've been living beside sleeping giants," Sunwoo said, studying the map carefully. "The question is, why are they waking now?" Sentinel's hologram appeared beside him. "Because the first signs of the hunger have been detected at the edge of this galaxy. The defense network was designed to activate when the threat returned." "And has it?" Mina asked, looking up from her work. "Yes," Sentinel replied simply. "They are coming." The Galactic Coalition Security Council chamber descended into chaos. Representatives from 27 species shouted over each other as fear and confusion spread through the Grand Hall. The curved walls, designed to amplify clear speech during orderly debates, now magnified the panic. Supreme Counselor Yuna struck her ceremonial staff against the floor 3 times. The sharp sounds echoed through the room, gradually bringing silence. "We will maintain order," she said firmly. "Military Advisor Seojin, please continue your report." Seojin, a tall, serious man in a crisp uniform, activated the central holographic display. The image of the asterisk reckoning asterisk rotated slowly above the council table. "We've analyzed the defensive capabilities of this single human vessel," he reported, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. "Its weapon systems are unlike anything in our current arsenal. Based on power readings alone, this ship could challenge 3 of our battle fleets simultaneously." The display changed to show 13 red dots scattered across coalition space. "Each of these points represents another awakening human installation," Seojin continued. "Some are ships like the asterisk reckoning asterisk. Others appear to be defensive platforms or monitoring stations. All were hidden until now." The Vexor representative stood abruptly, his scaled skin flushing dark red with anger. "This is clearly the first stage of a human invasion plan," he hissed, sharp teeth visible as he spoke. "They hid these weapons across our territory, waiting for the right moment. We should destroy the asterisk reckoning asterisk while we still can, before the others fully activate." Murmurs of agreement rose from several counselors. Defense Coordinator Minsu nodded. "The Vexor concerns are valid. If humanity secretly maintained this level of military technology, their current position within the coalition may be a deception." Ambassador Sunwoo, who had returned from the asterisk reckoning asterisk just hours before, stood to address the council. Despite having slept little, he appeared calm and focused. "Respected counselors," he began, "I understand your fears. 2 days ago, I would have shared them. The discovery of the asterisk reckoning asterisk shocked me as much as anyone." He paused, looking around the room. But the reckoning was not hidden as a weapon of conquest. Sentinel has granted us access to its historical archives. This ship was a final defense, a safeguard. A safeguard implies a threat, said Counselor Yuna carefully. Against what? Sun Wu took a deep breath. Against an enemy that nearly destroyed all life in this galaxy once before. An entity that exists partly in another dimension, attracted to advanced technological civilizations. The Vexor representative laughed sharply. Convenient mythology. A mysterious enemy no one has ever seen, used to justify the presence of superweapons in Coalition space. The Commonwealth records are extensive, Sun Wu replied. They show the deliberate regression of human civilization to protect all species in this galaxy. My ancestors sacrificed everything they had built to deny this enemy access to our reality. If this threat is real, asked Science Director Juno, why haven't we detected it in all our years of deep space exploration? Because it was successfully contained, Sun Wu explained. The Commonwealth's sacrifice worked. By removing the most advanced civilization from the galaxy, the enemy lost its primary entry point, but Sentinel believes they found another way back. The council chamber doors burst open. A junior officer rushed in, ignoring protocol, and whispered urgently to Juno. The science director's face drained of color. Emergency override, Juno said, activating his console. The central display changed to show a real-time feed from an observation post at the far edge of Coalition space. Strange distortions appeared in the normally smooth fabric of space. The distortions pulsed and grew, like wounds opening in reality itself. Something's emerging at the galaxy's edge, Juno reported, his voice trembling slightly, exactly where Sentinel predicted. The council watched in stunned silence as the distortion expanded. Within the shifting tear in space, dark shapes moved, impossible to focus on clearly. Sun Wu's communicator chimed with an emergency alert. He activated it, and Minna's voice filled the chamber. Ambassador, Sentinel sensors have confirmed it, she said, her voice tight with urgency. The enemy the Commonwealth sacrificed everything to stop. They're returning. The Reckoning's systems are activating defensive protocols. The Vexor representative snarled. You see, the humans are preparing to attack. Not to attack you, Sun Wu said firmly. To defend all of us. The Reckoning and the other installations were left as a last line of defense, if the hunger ever returned. He looked directly at Counselor Yuna. My ancestors knew they might not be able to contain this threat forever. They sacrificed their civilization, but left behind the means to fight if necessary. Yuna studied Sun Wu's face carefully. You truly believe this? I do, he replied. And I believe we need to act quickly. The Commonwealth left weapons capable of fighting this enemy, but they will need crews. Human crews, specifically designed to interface with the technology. You're asking us to allow humans to take control of the most powerful weapons in the galaxy, said Defense Coordinator Minsu skeptically. I'm asking you to let us fulfill our ancient duty, Sun Wu corrected. The Commonwealth didn't build these ships to conquer. They built them to protect. The main display changed again as new data came in. The distortion at the galaxy's edge had grown larger. Strange energy readings pulsed from within it. We don't have time for debate, Sun Wu urged. Every moment we delay gives the enemy a stronger foothold in our reality. Counselor Yuna stood, her decision made. Ambassador Sun Wu, you will return to the Reckoning immediately. Take whatever personnel you need. Defense Coordinator Minsu, dispatch observer teams to each awakening human installation. She turned to face the full council. We will prepare for the possibility that Ambassador Sun Wu's information is correct, while maintaining necessary caution. As Sun Wu hurried from the chamber, the Vexor representative moved to block his path. If this is a deception, he said quietly, if you use these weapons against the Coalition, we will ensure humanity's extinction. Sun Wu met his gaze steadily. If we fail to stop what's coming, There won't be a coalition left to defend. Behind them, the display showed the distortion growing, dark shapes becoming more distinct as they pushed against the thinning barrier between dimensions. The ancient enemy had found its way back, just as the Commonwealth had feared. Now everything depended on whether the safeguards they left behind would be enough. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Coalition had never been so full. Representatives from every member species crowded the vast chamber. Emergency meetings had been called before, but never with such urgency. The central display showed live feeds from the galaxy's edge, where the spatial distortions grew larger by the hour. Dark shapes moved within the tiers in reality, pushing against the barrier between dimensions. Supreme Counselor Yuna stood at the podium, her face solemn. For 2 days, we have verified the information provided by the human installation, known as the Reckoning Asterisk. Science Director Juno and his team have confirmed that the threat is real. We now face an enemy unknown to most of us, but apparently familiar to our human allies. She stepped aside, gesturing for Ambassador Sunwoo to take her place. He walked slowly to the podium, dressed not in his usual coalition uniform, but in the newly discovered garb of the ancient Commonwealth. Beside him floated Sentinel's holographic form, visible to the entire assembly for the first time. The room fell silent as Sunwoo took the central podium, flanked by Sentinel's blue-tinged projection. 5,000 years ago, humanity made the ultimate sacrifice. Sunwoo began, his voice steady and clear. Not in defeat, but in victory. Our ancestors erased their own technological achievements, altered their genetics, and returned to Earth as primitives, all to protect the galaxy from a threat that consumed advanced civilizations. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Many species still harbored suspicions about the sudden appearance of the ancient human vessels. Sunwoo gestured to Sentinel, who activated a large holographic display above the assembly. It showed the spatial tiers at the galaxy's edge in real time. What you are seeing is an incursion by an entity we called the Hunger, Sentinel explained, its voice echoing through the chamber. They exist partially in another dimension and are drawn to technological advancement like predators to prey. The display showed strange, shifting forms pushing through the dimensional barriers, vast entities that seemed to bend and distort light itself. They moved with clear purpose toward the nearest inhabited systems. The most advanced civilization attracts them most strongly, Sentinel continued. 5,000 years ago, that was the human Commonwealth. To deny them entry, the Commonwealth made the hardest choice possible. The display changed to show historical footage of the Commonwealth's final days, the massive evacuation of hundreds of worlds, the deliberate destruction of technology, and the genetic modifications that would remove even the memory of their achievements. Mina stepped forward to stand beside Sunwoo. Over the past days, she had worked tirelessly with Sentinel to recover the lost history. The Commonwealth didn't build the Reckoning Asterisk and its sister ships to conquer, she explained to the assembled representatives. They built them as guardians, programmed to reawaken only when the threat returned. They knew that someday, the Hunger might find another way back. The Vexor representative rose from his seat. How do we know this isn't an elaborate deception? These ships could easily overwhelm our defenses. Captain Tahoe, who had first discovered the Reckoning Asterisk, stepped forward. During the past days, he had been granted full access to the ancient vessel's archives. I've seen the evidence, he said firmly. The humans weren't conquerors. They were protectors who sacrificed everything. The historical records are consistent and verified. The Commonwealth willingly gave up their position as the galaxy's most advanced civilization to save all life here. Throughout the assembly, attitudes began to shift. The suspicion that had greeted the awakening of the human installations gradually gave way to something else, a reluctant admiration for a species that had chosen such a profound sacrifice. Science Director Juno approached the podium with a data tablet. The spatial tiers are expanding at an increasing rate. We estimate full breakthrough within 48 hours. Our weapons have proven ineffective against these distortions. Sunwoo looked out at the assembled representatives. The Commonwealth left us the tools to fight this enemy, but we need your help. The ships require human crews due to their neural interface systems, but we need the Coalition's combined knowledge and resources. What exactly are you proposing, Ambassador? Asked Counselor Yuna. A united defense, Sunwoo replied. The Reckoning and its sister ships will form the front line since they carry weapons specifically designed to affect these trans-dimensional entities. Coalition vessels can provide support and protect civilian populations. Across the galaxy, the 17 surviving vessels of the ancient Commonwealth fleet rose from their hidden sanctuaries. Some emerged from deep oceans, others from the hearts of uninhabited moons or the centers of radioactive asteroid fields. Each one, a massive supercarrier designed not for conquest, but as the last line of defense against an enemy that consumed entire civilizations. On the assembly hall's display, feeds showed the ships activating one by one, their enormous engines glowing with power that had lain dormant for millennia. Human crews, hastily assembled from volunteers across Coalition space, boarded the vessels as Sentinel-class AIs, guided them through unfamiliar systems. Supreme Counselor Yuna called for a vote. The Coalition representatives, faced with clear evidence of the approaching threat, voted unanimously to support the human-led defense. 4 hours later, Ambassador Sunwoo stood on the command deck of the Reckoning. The bridge hummed with activity as human crew members took their stations, guided by genetic memory and Sentinel's patient instruction. Through the massive viewports, he could see the Coalition defense fleet forming up alongside them. Hundreds of ships from dozens of species, united against the common threat. Minna approached, now wearing the uniform of a Commonwealth communications officer. The fleet is ready. All 17 carriers report fully operational status. Sunwoo nodded, looking out at the stars. We never knew our true history, he said quietly to Minna. But we're about to repeat it, standing against the darkness, protecting all life in this galaxy. Do you think we can win? She asked. Our ancestors did, at terrible cost, he replied. This time, we don't stand alone. On the main display, the spatial tiers had grown large enough to see with the naked eye. Dark wounds in the fabric of space, with strange shadows moving within them. The hunger had found its way back to the galaxy, drawn once again by the energy of advanced civilizations. Sentinel's hologram appeared beside Sunwoo. All systems at full capacity. Dimensional weapons are primed and ready. Sunwoo took a deep breath and gave the order. All ships, advance formation. We are the guardians our ancestors meant us to be. The massive supercarrier surged forward, its ancient engines flaring with blue fire. Behind it came the 16 other Commonwealth vessels, and alongside them, the combined fleet of the Galactic Coalition. Together they moved toward the growing darkness at the edge of the galaxy, a united defense against an enemy long forgotten by all except its silent, patient guardians. As they approached the dimensional tiers, Sunwoo felt a strange sense of rightness. Humanity had sacrificed everything once to protect the galaxy. Now they would honor that sacrifice by taking up the mantle their ancestors had left for them, not as conquerors, but as guardians of all life. The end.